The slammed door echoed like a gunshot as my father's voice cracked with fury. "Get out of my house and never come back if this is the life you choose." In that instant, with my mother's gasp echoing behind him and my sister frozen in the hallway, everything I'd hidden for 2 years exploded into the open. Marcus squeezed my hand so tightly I could feel his pulse racing against mine as we grabbed our coats and stepped into the cold Denver evening. The Thanksgiving turkey we had barely touched still sat on the table inside the suburban home where I had spent every holiday since childhood. Ethan Thompson, 28 years old and an architect at one of the city's top firms, had always been the golden boy in my family's eyes. Straight A student, varsity athlete, the son who would carry on the Thompson name with a wife and kids someday. My father, a retired military man with iron convictions, had drilled those expectations into me since I could walk. Marcus, my boyfriend of 2 years and a dedicated high school history teacher, had understood the need for secrecy from the beginning. We met at a mutual friend's backyard barbecue on a warm June afternoon. What started as easy conversation over grilled burgers turned into late-night talks about history, architecture, and the quiet dreams we both carried. Love grew naturally, quietly, in stolen weekends and whispered phone calls. But tonight the secret was gone. My father had walked in on us, sharing a quick kiss in the kitchen while helping with dishes. The look on his face, disgust mixed with betrayal, still burned behind my eyes as Marcus drove us back to our downtown apartment. The silence in the car was heavier than any argument. "They'll come around," Marcus said softly when we finally parked, his dark eyes steady even though I knew he was hurting too. I wanted to believe him, but the knot in my chest told me otherwise. That night, I lay awake staring at the ceiling while Marcus slept beside me. I replayed every excuse I had ever made: fake dates with women, avoiding family gatherings where questions might arise, the constant fear that one slip would destroy everything. The internal war I had fought alone for so long now felt unbearable. By morning, the rejection had hardened into something new: resolve. Over coffee, I looked at Marcus and said the words that changed everything. "What if we stop hiding? What if we tell the world who we really are?" He set his mug down slowly, surprise flickering across his face, then nodded. "You mean go public?" The idea terrified me, but the pain of my father's words pushed me forward. We spent the weekend talking it through with our closest friend Jake, a straight colleague from my firm who had suspected the truth for months. "You two deserve to live openly," Jake said, clapping me on the shoulder. "I've got your back no matter what." His support was the first crack of light in the darkness. We didn't know yet that our decision would ripple far beyond our small circle, drawing in strangers who would become the family we never expected. But in that moment, with Marcus's hand in mine and Jake's promise ringing in my ears, the first step toward freedom felt possible. The days after Thanksgiving blurred into a haze of quiet grief and careful planning. My phone stayed silent, no calls from my mother, no text from my sister asking if I was okay. The emptiness hurt more than the shouting ever could. At work, I threw myself into blueprints for a new community center downtown, sketching lines that somehow mirrored the fractured lines of my own life. Marcus taught his classes with the same calm passion, but I caught the worried glances he gave me across the dinner table each evening. One night, after a long shift, we sat on the couch and opened up the wounds again. "I keep hearing Dad's voice," I admitted, my throat tight, "like I betrayed the entire family just by loving you." Marcus listened without interrupting, his fingers tracing slow circles on my knee. "I know the fear, Ethan. I came out to my own family when I was 19. They struggled at first, but love won out. Yours can too, if we give them time." His words soothed some of the ache, but doubt still lingered. I had spent years building walls to protect the image my parents wanted. Tearing them down felt like stepping off a cliff. We talked about the risks. My conservative clients might pull projects. Marcus's school board could raise eyebrows. Even our building neighbors might look at us differently. Jake stopped by with pizza one evening and helped us brainstorm. "Why not make a short video? Keep it honest, no drama. Just your story." The idea took root slowly. We practiced lines in front of the bathroom mirror, laughing nervously when the words stumbled. I described how Marcus made me feel seen for the first time, how his quiet strength balanced my anxious drive. He spoke about the joy of loving someone who challenged him to be better every day. Yet the internal crisis refused to fade. I caught myself scrolling old family photos late at night, wondering if I would ever sit at that Thanksgiving table again. A college friend who had once been close suddenly stopped replying after I hinted at the truth in a text. The small betrayal stung, reminding me that not everyone would understand. Still, Marcus's steady presence anchored me. "We don't need everyone," he said one morning as snow began to fall outside our window. "We just need the ones who matter, and ourselves." His words settled something deep inside me. By the end of the week, we had a rough script and a plan to film on Saturday. The decision felt like the first real breath I had taken in years. Saturday arrived with clear Colorado skies that somehow made the moment feel bigger. We set up my phone on a tripod in the living room, soft lamp light warming the space. Marcus wore the blue sweater I loved. I kept my hand from shaking by gripping the edge of the couch. "Ready?" he asked, voice calm. I nodded, and we hit record. The words poured out more naturally than I expected. I spoke about growing up believing love had to look a certain way, about the years I spent hiding who I was to keep my family's approval. Marcus shared how he had learned to stand tall in his truth long before we met, and how loving me had taught him patience and courage. We didn't script tears, but they came anyway when I described my father's slammed door. "We're not asking for permission anymore," I said at the end, looking straight into the lens. "We're just asking to be seen." Marcus added softly, "Love isn't a choice. Hiding it is." We posted the 2-minute video to our private social accounts and a local Denver community page, then turned off our phones and went for a long walk along the Platte River. The first reactions hit like scattered raindrops. A few supportive comments from college friends, a heart emoji from Jake. Then the storm arrived. My sister texted a single line, "Dad saw it. He's furious." An old high school buddy left a comment calling us confused. Marcus's phone buzzed with a concerned message from his principal asking for a Monday meeting. The weight pressed down, but we held each other through it. That night we talked about turning the video private, but something stopped us. "We've hidden long enough," Marcus whispered. By Sunday morning, the video had been shared by a local LGBTQ+ advocacy group. Views climbed from dozens to hundreds. I stared at the screen in disbelief as strangers began commenting. Teachers, parents, even a retired veteran who wrote, "Took me 20 years to accept my own son. Proud you both." The unexpected kindness felt like warm light breaking through clouds. Yet the family silence continued, a quiet ache beneath the growing noise. We knew the real test was just beginning. Monday brought the tide. By breakfast, our video had crossed 10,000 views. Local news stations picked it up. A Denver morning show wanted an interview. At my firm, the senior partner pulled me aside, not to fire me, but to say, "Your courage is good for our community projects. We stand with you." Marcus returned from his meeting with the principal smiling. The board had received supportive calls from parents praising his teaching. The unexpected support kept rolling in like waves. A group of Marcus's students organized a small rally outside the school, holding signs that read "Love is love" and "We stand with Mr. Hayes." I watched from the sidewalk, chest tight with gratitude. Online, messages poured in from across the country. Gay men in their 40s who wished they had spoken up sooner, straight allies sharing their own family stories. Even a cousin I hadn't spoken to in years who wrote, "Uncle is still processing, but Mom says she loves you no matter what." We agreed to the morning show interview. Sitting on the studio couch with Marcus's hand in mine, we answered questions about fear, love, and the power of truth. When the segment aired that evening, the comments section exploded with stories of similar journeys. A local bakery dropped off cookies with rainbow icing and a note. "Thank you for reminding us what bravery looks like." The kindness from complete strangers began to heal the wound my father's words had left. Yet not everything was easy. A handful of hateful comments still appeared, and my mother's continued silence hurt most. One night, I broke down in Marcus's arms. What if they never accept us? He held me close and answered simply, Then we build our own family with the people who already have. His words gave me strength. By the end of the week, the video had reached over 100,000 views, and a community center invited us to speak at their annual Pride event. The journey we started in fear was becoming something bigger than either of us. The Pride event in downtown Denver felt like stepping into a new chapter. Hundreds of people filled the park, rainbow flags waving, music pulsing, faces open and welcoming. When we took the stage, the applause rolled over us like thunder. I spoke about the night my father slammed the door and how that pain had pushed us toward honesty. Marcus talked about the students who showed up at his school, proving that the next generation already understood. The crowd cheered, and for the first time the weight on my chest felt lighter. Afterward, strangers approached us with hugs and stories. A middle-aged woman shared how her son had come out last year, and how our video gave her courage to stand by him. A young man in his 20s thanked us for modeling the relationship he hoped to have one day. Their words wrapped around the cracks in my heart like healing tape. Even at work, colleagues who had never mentioned my personal life now asked genuine questions and offered support. Then came the call I had both dreaded and hoped for. My mother's voice trembled on the line. "I saw the video, Ethan. Your father, he's still struggling. But I can't lose my son." We talked for nearly an hour. She admitted she had suspected for years and regretted not speaking up sooner. She wanted to meet Marcus properly, away from my father's shadow. The conversation ended with her quiet promise. "I love you both." It wasn't full reconciliation, but it was a door cracking open. Marcus and I celebrated that night with a quiet dinner on our balcony overlooking the city lights. We talked about the growth we had both experienced, the way facing fear had made us stronger, kinder, more honest with ourselves and each other. The unexpected support from strangers had shown us that family could be chosen as well as born. Yet the journey wasn't over. We still carried the scars, but they no longer defined us. Months later, the leaves turned gold across the Colorado foothills. Marcus and I stood together at the community center where we had first spoken publicly, now helping organize a support group for young people coming out to conservative families. My mother had visited twice, bringing homemade pie and tentative smiles. My father had not joined her, but he had stopped posting angry comments online. A small, silent step we chose to see as progress. Our apartment had become a gathering place for the new family we had found. Jake and his wife, students from Marcus's classes, colleagues who had become friends, and the strangers whose messages had carried us through the hardest weeks. One evening, a young architect I mentored told me, "Watching you two gave me the courage to tell my parents. They're coming around." His words reminded me why we had taken a risk. Marcus slipped his arm around my waist as the sun set behind the mountains. "We did it," he said softly. I leaned into him, feeling the steady rhythm of his heart against mine. The love that had once been hidden now shone openly, stronger for every test it had survived. The journey had changed us both, teaching us resilience, the power of vulnerability, and the surprising grace that arrives when you stop hiding. Looking back, the slammed door that Thanksgiving had not ended our story. It had opened a door to a wider world filled with people ready to stand beside us. We still faced challenges, but we faced them together, surrounded by the unexpected family that had chosen us right back. Is coming out publicly always the path to more acceptance than loss? True or false?